the declaration of the cause of death is what did they actually call it suicide? I think they eventually called it what unknown or something.
Yeah, it was unknown.
It was unknown, but she went to weird lengths to, well, you don't have anything to prove that it's murder, so I'm saying it's unknown, and to me the most unlikely unknown is suicide. Like, it was really weird, and that's what everybody got so up in arms about, was the fact that the SFPD could have just said, well, we said it's unknown. We don't know how, but somebody staked a flag in the ground and they all rallied around it.
Yeah.
And that's what really blew up in their faces.
Yeah.
It kind of did, although I know where to go to commit murder now.
San Francisco.
We don't even have to work that hard to make it look like suicide.
Yeah, apparently.
No. But let's see, what was the evidence for? Okay, the front door was deadbolted from the inside. Back door was locked, although I've heard that it wasn't deadbolted.
Yeah, I heard it was a push lock.
Yeah.
Like the handle.
Yeah, the kind of you push
the push button?
You push the button in and you pull it shut behind you.
Yeah,
and all that
or
stuff.
you twist the lock and pull it shut behind you.
Yeah.
Either way, a knob.
Yeah,
lock.
a knob. Yeah, but the thing about it is, so the killer could have exited that way, but that back door just leads to a tiny enclosed courtyard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you looked at the aerials of the building and the surrounding buildings and everything.
I don't remember.
There's no way to get from that teeny courtyard to the street, except it looks like you can exit like through the basement of the apartment building. And there's a basement door that comes out on Linden Street. So maybe if you're in that courtyard and you have a key,
Well, I guess
you can get out that way.
really you don't need a key. I mean, you guys have lived in apartments,
Yeah,
right? You've lived
been
in
a while.
apartment communities like this. It's June, right?
Yeah.
In San Francisco. It's not cold. Somebody's doing their laundry, props the door open.
Maybe.
It's propped open. I mean, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that that little basement door could be propped open. It would be a crazy stroke of luck for said murderer
I wouldn't count
To
on it if I was a
Yeah.
murderer. Yeah.
to have that door propped open.
I was going
But-
to say, in an apartment with locked doors, in a community that has so many homeless wandering around, that's the reason that people have all those locked doors. That's why everything is you have keys.
Yeah, but we're
because-
talking a back door from an enclosed courtyard, right?
But that's the couple apartments ago that I was in. There was an external door that went out the back of the building, but that thing also had an automatic lock, and it always used to make me so mad. I thought, this is so dumb. Like,
Was
there's
it
going to
in-
be nobody here until the day I found a homeless guy back there.
And there was it was an enclosed little area
Yeah,
like that, like literally no way in, no way out.
this guy had hopped a fence, but I was like, nobody's ever going to do that.
This fence, I mean, it looked
It's
really
not
enclosed.
It's not actually surrounded by a fence. It's surrounded by buildings.
Yeah.
I'm talking
But
about
even-
the external door that had to have the key that you were talking about.
No, that's
Yeah.
what we're talking
Oh, yeah.
about, right? The
no,
door
yeah, it's
comes
an external
from
door.
that.
Comes from that little courtyard. I would think that you don't really need to worry about people wandering it up the street that will get into your basement, but I would worry about people from the other buildings who have egress into that tiny courtyard too, possibly. I would keep it mostly locked. I'm sure people left it open at least
Yeah.
sometimes.
So I mean, it's for me, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. But again, that would be a crazy stroke of luck.
It really
for
would
that,
be.
for that person.
It really would be. So if somebody did stab him to death inside there, well, and then how did they leave and deadbolt the door? Well, okay.
It's a locked courtyard mystery.
Yeah, a locked courtyard. So what happened on the knife? Did Oog clean the knife and put it away? That sounds about impossible.
And again, we have to reinforce that it wasn't just a cursory scrub down.
No.
That, you mean it would have had to have been an intense cleaning while gushing blood out of what is almost your jugular. I mean,
it's like when I've got 1 minute to live, I know I'm going to spend it cleaning.
Yeah.
Well,
definitely.
SFPD said the reason he went outside was to dispose of the knife.
Well, that's possible. Another theory is that he threw the knife out a window.
But
like-
he was on the first floor.
Yeah.
But here's the one thing I was going to
And
say.
he's butted up against other buildings, I know.
But okay, but when I looked at the street view, so I looked and there's a tree there and there's a pot on the ground. I was like, well, they would have searched the pot to see if the knife was in the pot. But what I did notice is that the front face of his building, the one that as you're looking at it directly to the right, it's bumped out about 2 feet farther into the sidewalk, and it's only a 1.5 story building, so theoretically, somebody standing on Oog's patio could turn and, if they had really good aim, chuck the knife up onto that flat roof of that building next door. But that, again, is just That's such a leap
Especially
for
if
him to do while bleeding
Yeah.
so much and not have, I mean, if he's got blood coming out of his neck and he hauls back to throw the knife, I would expect it to be like a rainbird of blood on the side of his house.
That would make some interesting blood spatter
Would,
analysis
yeah.
there, wouldn't it? Yeah.
And again, as we were kind of talking about, like these are wounds that are going to bleed out fast.
Very fast, yeah. And actually, from the Michael Ferenc's analysis that I read a sentence of before, he talked about the blood spatter, and he said that it appears to him that the blood spatter is just one track. In other words, if he'd gone outside, disposed of the knife, gone back inside, then there would have been a track out.
Should have been twice as much blood.
Yeah, there would have been 2 trails of blood. There was only one, which indicates not that he came out and went back in, but instead that he was stabbed outside
And went in.
and then went inside.
Yeah.
So maybe he committed suicide outside. He stabbed himself repeatedly with the knife and then threw the knife away and then went inside, deadbolted the door, and expired. Okay.
That's
Yeah, I mean,
as I will just say that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
it's a little silly.
It's super dumb.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I've heard some pretty dumb things. But
It's one of the dumbest.
It's
I would
out
say
there,
it's
out
top
there.
25 dumbest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's
Well,
out
okay,
there.
top 50 maybe.
Yeah, I know. So it doesn't really pass the smell test with me either. I don't know. I mean, theoretically, if he stabbed himself in front of his apartment building, ran inside, threw the knife away and ran inside, and if the police didn't search the immediate area, which you would kind of expect them to do,
They
right?
said they did.
Yeah, and they said they did. So it doesn't make any sense. Also, there was no suicide note, although it's not
That's
absolute.
not a requirement.
It's not really required. I mean, there usually is, but yeah, it's not required.
Well, so here's one.
Yeah.
It's really rare, I think. I'm pretty sure. It's super rare for somebody who's about to commit suicide to make themselves a meal, particularly one of rice and peas.
I don't know if he was a vegan or not or whatever. If it was going to be my last meal, it would be something better than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you would probably finish it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's one of the things that I saw while we were doing the research is like a number of people brought up and they said, it's really hard for me to believe it's a suicide because he made himself a meal. Mm-hmm. He ate and then stabbed himself. Like, why? Mm-hmm. Why?
That's a good question. Why go surfing a dating site? The whole idea behind surfing dating sites is there's no
to make future plans.
there's
to
no
hook up with somebody.
There's
yes.
absolutely no point in wasting that time.
Yeah.
If you're going to kill yourself. And of course, his family and friends don't like the suicide theory, but as you guys probably are aware, and raised enough of a stink, of course, that we talked about the French investigation, the LAPD investigation, and the French, they issued like a 2,000-page report. I think it was
massive.
It was massive, and they were pretty unequivocal that yes, it was murder. And they did find one interesting piece of evidence that the SFPD somehow missed. I guess was that Hoog's watch was I guess torn off his wrist and laying under his body when they found it.
Yeah.
And they found a set of DNA on it that did not belong to him, which is interesting.
I don't actually think that's as necessarily damning as a lot of
Well,
people
no,
make
it
it
could
out
be from
because
a lot
Oog
of
was
different
out at the
things.
bar.
Yeah.
He was probably, you have contact with people, and how much DNA was it? Was it just a little spot of it? Was it smeared in slobber, and that's how they got it?
I have no idea how, and that's the whole thing. Is you can get DNA from all kinds of places.
I guess for me in the end, though, it's the fact that his watch was off of him under his body. Mm-hmm. It's less, yes, the DNA is interesting. It should have presented the San Francisco Police Department with a reasonable doubt to not think that it was suicide. But the fact that it was not even on him anymore, but it was under his body is why would that not send up a red flag for you?
Yeah, I could see something like, raising your arm is in a defensive way to ward off blows, and maybe the watch gets damaged. Maybe it gets somebody's DNA on it, but at the very least gets damaged and sort of at least partially torn off.
Right.
That kind of thing.
But I can't believe I'm going to kind of step up and defend the SFPD a teeny bit here and say that it is just as likely that the watch was broken prior to that and he had set it down, and in his stumbling, flailing through his apartment, he knocked it off because his apartment was in shambles.
Yeah.
He knocks it off of something, it falls on the ground, and then he to make the mystery deeper, intentionally falls upon it.
Or
okay, that part
accidentally.
is me being a jerk, but he may literally have knocked it on the ground and then fallen on it, and it just happened to be that, again, they're like, well, obviously these two things were originally together, when we don't really know that.
That's fair.
Good point. I could picture it being like sitting on the edge of a shelf, and he's stumbling around, and he goes to grab the edge of the shelf, and he grabs
to
the
catch
watch.
himself.
You know,
Yeah.
he
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? It's really hard. The watch is not. The watch
Overall,
doesn't really prove much of anything.
overall, I think we're all in agreement that, you know, the suicide thing is just...
Suicide thing doesn't really fly.
No.
Yeah. So that leaves murder. I don't know. I like murder better than suicide. What do
Yeah,
you
me
guys think?
too.
You liking murder?
Way
Okay.
more.
Yeah.
I
Way
always live
more.
through the murder.
Yeah. Okay. As I think I said, the crime scene evidence kind of indicates the stabbing took place outside the
Yeah.
apartment,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
Oog went inside to get away from his attacker. It
Yeah.
appears. And I can't say it's too bad he didn't call 911, but I don't think it would have made a difference, frankly, as fast as he was bleeding.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, no, it would.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
he
afraid that he didn't have enough time.
No, he was doomed, unfortunately. Poor guy. But so the question would have, if it is murder, what was the motivation? Who killed him and why? All of his friends say that Oog had no enemies who would want to kill him, but obviously that's not quite true,
Yeah.
right? Well, let's go through some theories about possible motivations. Okay, first off, robbery murder. What do you guys think about that one?
So flesh that out for me. Let me hear what you think robbery murder means for this case.
Yeah, somebody goes to rob him, and maybe he puts up a little bit of a fight, and he gets stabbed, and the attacker runs away. One of the problems I have with this, of course, is that whoever it was, the robber didn't take his wallet or money or anything or his keys.
Mm-hmm.
So the robber would have to have come up to his door and knocked on his door at 2:30 or 2:40 in the morning,
Exactly.
and deciding that I'm going to rob the person that lives in this house.
Yeah, that's the problem with robbery murder, is that he wasn't just walking down the street. He was actually inside, and they came outside.
Yeah, they
So-
didn't just roll him.
Can you, just for the sake of it, can you tell me how it is that we know that he was inside and went outside?
Well, the
Well,
evidence...
it's better analysis as well.
Yeah, I mean, they did some
No,
analysis.
that he was inside and came outside. We know that the murder happened, or I'm sorry,
we
think
feared.
the murder probably happened outside, right? But
Right.
how do we know that he was inside and came outside?
Yeah, well, the evidence is apparently because there was food on the countertop. It appeared that he had, made himself a meal, and also apparently there was evidence that he was on his computer for about maybe half an hour before he
Okay.
got murdered.
I'm willing to accept the computer thing, right? But I guess for me, there is a big question. And I know I said this to disprove the suicide theory,
Yeah,
right?
the food. It might
But
have
there's
been
no
just
way
sitting
to
out
know.
from
I mean,
earlier.
yeah, he could have made it, from lunch, or he could have made it as a snack before he went to meet for happy hour.
Somebody may have said, this guy's dead. There's food. Touch it. Is it warm? If it was warm when the cops got there, then...
He would have had to have been murdered very recently because
Yeah, it
food
should have
gets
been
real
cold.
cold.
Oh, wait, no, they didn't come till 8:40 in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, never
yeah,
mind. I
yeah.
apologize.
Well, he
So
also
for
had,
me-
he also,
Right away, but
he
they
also
didn't.
had he also had some of that food in his stomach still.
Undigested.
Yeah, if he'd eaten
Okay.
if he'd eaten it, like, I don't know if he went on his date and then went home and then went out to meet his buddies, or if he just went straight over to
So
the
they don't
underground.
really give a good time frame of, and the food was pretty undigested in his stomach, so he must have been murdered recently after
Yeah, I
eating
think
that food.
so.
Okay,
I
they
think that
do.
was the main reason. For
Okay,
them
okay.
But the
believing
computer history is
Yeah.
pretty undeniable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
computer
again, I'm
history and
willing
the
to
food.
accept that, but the food one has always been like, I don't really understand why.
Yeah, no, they found some in his gullet.
Okay.
Apparently they look.
Okay.
That's one of the things they do. They look at the innards. They
Yeah.
Well,
look-
one would assume they would have also done a comprehensive search of the area for a knife, but
Well, there's that too. Good point.
so at this point, I'm not willing to assume anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Call me crazy, but
Yeah.
but I
Okay,
agree. I
crazy.
think a random robbery murder is probably not the
No.
right. thing.
No, probably not. One that's maybe a tiny bit more likely is that he came outside, maybe he heard something, interrupted a crime in progress.
His
and was stabbed.
neighbors said they heard several commotions.
Yeah.
So maybe Oog heard the same first initial commotion, and that's what drew him outside.
Yeah,
that's possible.
maybe. So
Did he have a motorcycle or a car or anything?
he did have a motorcycle, yeah, and I don't know where he had it parked.
Wasn't on the street.
Presumably, I don't know where he would have put it. I mean, I guess he had it on the sidewalk in front of his apartment.
Well, you can in cities, even in Portland, you can rent spots in parking lots and stuff like that for long term for storage if you don't want to park it on the street.
Yeah,
so it's possible that
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean,
there.
street parking is just so out of control and so difficult in that city that
Oh,
that's
God.
why a lot of people, rent a spot, downtown or wherever where they keep their vehicles.
Yeah,
and
but
they-
with a motorcycle, it's usually easier. I guess that's why I was asking those, because it sounded like that. He totally could have been somebody messing with his motorcycle, and he came down and was like, "What are you doing?"
And
they
stab.
yeah, and then ran away. And at that point, you don't steal the motorcycle because you get stuck with the motorcycle.
motorcycle wasn't in front of the house.
Incriminating.
Okay.
Because if you look at the security camera, one of the things that I watched was the time progression of the security camera, and there's a big old car sitting across the street, but there's no motorcycle there that I ever saw.
Yeah, so
Well, it could have
God
been-
knows where he had it, but
Close.
No,
Couple
who
cars
knows?
down.
maybe that big old car belonged to Oog too. Who knows?
I don't think
Yeah.
that did.
Probably not.
And for my own sake, Oog didn't smoke or anything, right? He wasn't possible
No.
that he went out for a cigarette.
I don't know. Good point.
I have seen. I think I've seen pictures of him with a cigarette in his hand.
No.
For some reason, I want to say that, but I can't. I'm not positive about it.
I can't remember.
But
myself.
I
I've
mean-
seen a lot of pictures. There's a website that his friends have out in the web, and you can see it. We'll post a link to it. Actually, there's a ton of pictures of him. Unfortunately, some of the pictures he's wearing a Speedo. Just be warned.
Or fortunately for some of us,
But so he might be smoking a ciggy in one of those. Of course, you go boozing with your friends. That doesn't mean you're a regular smoker.
Yeah, it's
either.
true.
yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, that's possible. You just went outside to smoke a cigarette or something like that, and and just ran into the wrong psycho boy out there and got stabbed.
Or girl.
Yeah, it's good. Or there's also the possibility of random murder, but that kind of right there with he interrupted a crime, kind of the
Well-
same thing. Went outside and somebody was in a bad mood.
I
happened
guess-
to have a sharp knife.
One thing that I don't see on this list is gang murder.
Uh-huh.
San Francisco is pretty hotbed, especially in 2007. There's a lot of gang activity there, and I know that there are some gangs where their initiation is you go stab someone, and so
is
it's
that
not.
real, or is that the urban legend?
No, I think it's true.
Now, the urban legend is the one where they drive around with their headlights off.
Oh, well, I
you
know that's an urban legend, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
but-
heard this, and I've never seen anything that definitively said, yeah, we have reports of this, and we've confirmed this is actually it, and it's not just an urban legend. So that's why I'm asking, because I've always presumed, based on something I can't remember, that was total crap.
Oh, I've never heard that it was crap. I've
Okay.
always thought it was true. But I mean, it's not impossible.
No.
Unpossible? It's not impossible that it was technically a random act of violence, but
Yeah.
connected
Random
to
selection.
a murder, a gang-related murder of some
Sure.
kind.
I'll go for that. Well,
Again, it doesn't explain necessarily why he was outside.
No, that's
But-
the tricky part. Yeah, I mean, somebody lured him outside, or just be like, again, he went outside to smoke a cigarette, or for some reason or another, and whoopsie, wrong
Something
place,
drew
wrong
him out
time.
there, yeah.
Yeah, it's always that. There's always that thing where somebody rings your doorbell, and you come out, there's a paper bag on fire, just an innocent paper bag.
They're never an innocent paper bag.
No,
paper
no, don't-
bags are not innocent.
No.
Don't put the
They
paper bag
are.
out.
They're
Yeah.
made evil.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to rule out the paper bag. They didn't find any of that stuff on the porch. Another possibility is mistaken identity.
I like this one.
Yeah.
I mean, not as like a real theory, but I do like it.
Well, maybe somebody saw him and thought he was this man.
You guys know this man.
Hopefully you all know who this man is, right? You've heard
You had a
this
dream
man.
of this man?
Yeah, exactly. Have you
Or
Do
seen
you
this
ever
man?
dream this man?
Yes, exactly. You do a Google on it, just this man, and you'll see a picture. And then go look at the drawing of this man, and look at the pictures of Oog, and you do see a resemblance.
There's
Yeah.
some resemblance.
They're
but
not-
there's probably some resemblance between this man and me.
Well, that's. I'm not to like jump ahead or burst the bubble or whatever, but that's the point of this man. And it was a composite sketch
Yeah.
created by a sociologist as a psychological test or experiment or something like that. That's the whole point of this man. We've since found out,
Yeah.
but early days of this man, I was totally wrapped up in the whole idea of He was creepy.
He was.
and
It is kind of creepy. I can see it.
super creepy.
If somebody saw Oog, and let's say you've been reading about this man, and you see Oog. So even though you might think the resemblance is not totally exact, they do bear, besides just the incredibly bushy eyebrows, they do have a few other features in common.
Oog had, I mean, similar face shape.
Yeah,
and
no, definitely kind of similar kind of hairline. I mean,
Yeah.
I could totally see where somebody can say, "Oh my God, it's this man in real life. Oh my God, I must kill him."
He's been haunting my dreams, and I'm gonna get him.
And he's been haunting everyone's dreams, not
Yeah,
just mine. Everyone's
well-
doing society a favor.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, seriously. I mean, and we all know it was basically a hoax, but you know, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know that it was actually out there by 2007.
2006 was when it was
2006 was supposedly
when it really started.
when it started. So it's conceivable somebody saw Oog and thought, "Oh my God, it's this man."
It's
And
the middle of 2007 when Oog dies, so it's had
Yeah.
plenty of time to spread around the internet.
Yeah, and so this guy is like, "Oh my God, I never dreamed of this man, but now I've just seen him in real life. Now he's going to be in my dreams, and God knows what he's going to be doing to me.
Or
I'm gonna
I've
kill him."
Or I've dreamed of him a lot, and
Or maybe there's that too.
Yeah.
I think the whole idea that all these people were dreaming of this guy was the hoax part. I don't think anybody really was. I never dreamed of him.
I mean, this man is a kind of a mystery enigma in and of itself. It's not really unsolved anymore, but we could do an entire episode on it, so I won't delve too far into
Oh, that's
it.
good.
But
That would be a good Devin episode.
it
actually.
would, yeah,
Okay,
except
we
for
will-
it's solved.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, it's not unheard of that people kill. I mean, there was that murder, the two girls who killed that other girl because Slender Man told them to.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, mental illness is a thing, and
It
when
is.
you get wrapped up in certain internet memes, I mean, it's not. There are a lot of problems with this theory, certainly.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I believe it more than I believe suicide,
It's more credible
which I know
than that.
is crazy, but I believe it more than I believe suicide at this point. So I don't know.
So let's go. Yeah, so we'll sort of give that a maybe. Let's see, what other theories do we have? He was murdered by a psycho chick that he met online.
I mean, it's possible.
Always possible. Some Glenn Close type woman. Maybe
Fatal Attraction, yeah.
Maybe the one that he had met earlier that evening.
Could have been one that he met earlier, a month earlier, who
Sure.
had been tracking him and had finally decided that to show her love, she had to stab him.
Or
Yeah.
felt scorned
Yeah.
because she thought they had something special and more.
And then caught him out.
Yeah.
Caught him out. Next thing you know, stab.
Possible.
Because
Stick.
to her, they were in a relationship. To him, it was really
A
nice
one-night
that one
stand.
time, and
Yeah.
thank you very much. I've got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens, huh?
It does.
It does, matter of fact. The only downside of the psycho chick thing is the whole stab. The thing about stabbing somebody is,
It's not easy.
well, I mean, you got to push the knife in, and then you got to pull it back out again.
Yeah.
And
It's not easy.
It's
is what
not
I'm saying.
as easy as it looks in the
Yeah.
movies. No.
So